Kia ora, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. A warm welcome to those that are online also, and also welcome to those that are watching via the live feed. It's great to have so many with us today. I think this is probably one of the most full times that we've seen at our community board meeting. Just a reminder to everybody today, we will be live streaming the meeting. It is also recorded and will be on YouTube for future purposes of watching back if you so choose to. Okay, we will start with apologies. I have one from Michelle Lomax and from Sarah Templeton for lateness. Do I have a mobile? And an apology for Jake. So we've got early departure for Daryl. Jake for lateness. Sarah for lateness and Michelle for lateness. Do I have a Jackie and Tim? All in favour? Thank you, carried. Okay. Moving on to declarations of interest. Hi, Anita. Declarations of interest for today's meeting. No declarations of interest, that's fantastic. Confirmation of prior minutes. So I have a move for those. Jackie and Tim, all in favour. Thank you, carried. Okay, moving on to our public forum. We have two public forums today. Our first public forum is Rachel Wells, Karen Theobald, and Jude McLean, and they are coming to speak to us today about the Morgans Valley project. So welcome to the table. If you just make sure that your microphone is turned on, it's the little person and it should go green. That is perfect. And just a reminder that we're live streaming and recorded. You have 5 minutes today, so if you would like questions, then please leave enough time. Oh, do we have a clicker? We do have a clicker.
If we're sharing it, we have to move it, don't we?
Just you'll need to switch it on. So
No.
Because we're sharing. We have to move it because we're sharing on Zoom.
Sorry, you get to move, but
Yeah, just say next slide and it'll get moved.
Okay. Sure, thank you for the opportunity to meet today from Morgans Valley. I'm Rachel Wells and I've been the coordinator for the Bosch Inverter Generation Group to call ourselves. And Karen Theobald is our communications person in between our plan for planning those person. We are a wider group and with a wide range of skills. And if you just like to move this slide, okay. Just that the Morgans Valley is in the off to the east side of Heathcote Valley on Bridle Path Road. We've lived here for probably all of us lived here for 15 to 17 years, and I think for all of us we can probably say that it is our dream way
I can't hear anything. Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything at all. And I thought it was just me because I've just jumped in, but maybe not. Obviously not.
Jane, can you hear? I've texted Alex and Jackie.
Implies they can't hear us either, which
Shall we just have a wee chat then?
we'll discuss. We'll discuss all the secret business that needs to be, all the conspiracies and such
Hold it.
like.
They can hear us. We still can't
All
hear.
right, we'll hold this.
A little bit. Teensy weensy bit. More than before.
Your hearing must be better than mine, Michelle, surprisingly.
You cheeky sod. Sorry to interrupt in this way, people.
Can you hear us now?
Hey, thank you. Oh,
Okay, cool.
thank you.
Thank you for letting us know. Okay. Alex, because the other thing that we can suggest is that actually the community, they've done an engagement and they've not actually told the community. Yeah. So they could actually do an engagement and actually let the community. Yeah, but it's done by letter rather than alongside the community. They could actually partner with the community to do some engagement and actually. Yeah. No, well, they have to do it for now because that's part of the. But we could actually. Yeah.
We've lost that sound again.
We were muted, Jake, so that we could take a break and adjournment while we just got our sound sorted. So we'll turn it back on again in a moment.
Oh, great. Sorry.
Having
Thanks.
a conversation.
I'm not going to tell you, you know.
Giving a report as well.
We have about to start.
Apologies.
Okay, apologies for technical difficulty. We're off mute. So I'd like to welcome Michelle and Jake to the meeting officially. Now that they can actually hear as well, that's a bonus. Thank you. Okay, so we have a way forward. Sorry, were there any more questions for the team? Simone?
I was just about to make a comment when the sound started doing strange things. Can we put back the slides, please? Just one further from
Just slide one.
slide 3. Slide 4, actually. Slide 4. Okay, did you all take this one? Okay, so just on the fact that Dawson is part of a new proposed residential heritage area, which hasn't been accepted by the district plan, recognising the heritage nature of the street, both in terms of the form of the buildings. And so this request of change of designation is sort of consistent with that as well, because it used to be called Carter's Lane. And so we're asking for it to be returned to a lane status.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, so what we are going to do, our decision making and getting stuff put through when we get to our area report there is in the agenda. Just because we have a bunch of reports and I've got stuff, I think we're really waiting online. So if there are no questions, no, perfect. So thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. We really appreciate it. And you can either stick around or you can go home and watch it online with a cup of tea. But yeah, we will be making that when it comes up to the year report. So that'll be a wee way away. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time there. Okay. We are now moving on to the Cave Rock Master Lights. So we have 4 deputations on those today. And we are starting with James Lewis. James. Thank you so much for being with us. James, just a reminder, we are live streaming and recording, and you have 10 minutes. And if you would like questions, please leave time at the end.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board. There have been many talking points around the cross, the divisiveness of the cross, the message it sends to non-Christians, the shabbiness of the cross now that it has been vandalized and will probably continue to be vandalized. So I don't want to revisit these issues today, but the recent resurrection of the cross does raise questions as to how it came into existence. And I really have to question the sincerity and motives behind the cross's main protagonist. We have to ask, is it all about history? Because we keep hearing about the historical relevance of the cross, or is it about an agenda? I raise the agenda spectre because the trust set up to handle the finances for the cross, this trust's main charter is to advance the Christian religion. That's right there in clause 2.2a of the trust deed. What better way to advance the Christian religion than by installing a Christian cross on an iconic landmark? Further, the main protagonist, the cross, was in the last general election a candidate for Ireland of the far right-wing political party.
So we
Advance New
can't,
Zealand.
sorry, just to clarify, we can't actually be disrespectful.
No, it's fact. It's not hearsay.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah,
Not allowed to talk.
yeah. So
I'm
like
trying to motivate here.
we are here to talk about an issue though, not specific people.
Sure.
So I know you're not using a name, but we all know who it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So right-wing populism and Christianity go hand in hand. We've all seen it glaringly in the US, and it's becoming a worrying trend here in New Zealand. I can't help but feel this cross is part of this trend. Now, these matters aside, the historical aspect of the cross. Yes, the cross did exist many decades ago, and the historical celebration of the cross has been offered up as a reason for the current cross's existence. That's fair enough, but that's not to say it's appropriate today. Historically, and I remember this as a child growing up in Sumner in the 70s and 80s, cross in Turawera was illuminated at Christmas and at Easter. But not every night of the year, dusk till dawn. Now, to use the historical relevance as a raison d'etre for the cross to exist today, why then is the cross not honouring its history and being illuminated only at Christmas and Easter, as historically done? The Council memo, July 13, 2022, specifically raises the issue of historical consistency. It seems back in the 1930s and later in the 70s and 80s, the folks responsible for the illuminated cross knew what was appropriate and knew what was acceptable as to when the cross was illuminated. So this is what I'm calling for today, a return to what is historically correct, preferably illuminated 4 nights of the year, December 24, December 25, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday. I accept the cross is there, for better or worse, but I don't accept, nor many others accept, the illumination of it every night of the year. Sumner is not in the Bible Belt of America. Sumner is now less inclusive because of that cross and what it represents to many sectors of our society. Of the majority, it is not who we are. Please, let the cross light up for just the main events in the Christian calendar and no more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. We appreciate you coming to speak with us this afternoon. Did I have any questions for James? Daryl?
Thank you. James, have you seen the memo from Maria Amdansky, the asset engineer, who did a report on the Cave Rock master plans?
No.
Okay, that's public information now because it's on the agenda. And Maria has suggested point 7.1 that no further steps are planned. However, I do look forward to hearing the other deputations. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you again, James. Appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to Angela now. Angela, what Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm sure you've heard my spiel a million times, so probably don't need to hear it again. But you have 10 minutes. And if you would like questions, then please leave time. That would be great. Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Angela Woodward tōku ingoa. No tuahiwi o ku kipuna, ke te noho o ki matuku takotako. Hello everyone, my name is Angela Woodward. My ancestors came from Tuahiwi. I whakapapa to Ngāi Tahu. I have lived in Sumner for 13 years. This is my takiwa. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today about the Tuawera mast lights. I want to raise concerns about the lights on 3 grounds. First, I'm concerned by the paucity of proactive community consultation by council about the proposal to reinstate lights on the mast and the impact that this has had on the community board's decision to grant the licence for the lights. Second, I'm concerned about the current lighting configuration. Third, I'm concerned about the licence provisions concerning when the lights may be illuminated. I will speak to these concerns in turn. First, concerning community consultation, I believe that community consultation could have been conducted better to solicit the range of opinions that are held by Sumner community members in sufficient time to inform the community board's decision to grant the licence. I refer to the memo dated 13 July 2022 titled K-Block Mast Lights tabled at this meeting. In section 6 on community consultation, the memo indicates that the council only proactively sought community feedback from one stakeholder group, Mahanui Kurataio, on behalf of Tuahuriri Runanga. Other feedback was received passively, comprising 3 inquiries from the public and a statement from the licensee confirming that it had consulted certain community groups and sundry residents. The discussion at the community board meeting on the 1st of June indicates that the licensee's consultation may not have occurred as indicated in the memo. As you are aware, there have been lively discussions about the lights since they went up on the community's Facebook pages. These discussions show that there are opinions both for and against the current lighting arrangement, and that some of our community members are distressed or offended by them. These views could have been elicited at an earlier stage if the community had been approached in a more effective, impartial and transparent manner, and less reliance had been placed on consultation purported to be carried out by the third-party licence applicants. My second point concerning the current lighting configuration. The lighting configuration before the 2011 earthquakes aligned with the signal mast contours. The current lighting configuration does not align with the signal mast contours. It is unmistakably in the form of a Christian cross. This is not appropriate for a public secular landmark. I note that the licensee is a registered charitable trust with charitable purposes, including projects which advance the Christian religion. One could infer that the current lighting formation was deliberate. Symbols of Christianity on secular structures may have been acceptable in the past, but Aotearoa today is a secular society. Some in the community have accepted the current configuration, but others are deeply upset by its Christian symbolism. Sumner is a multicultural community, including people of different faiths and people who do not hold to a particular faith. Some of them were brave enough to write in the community Facebook discussion about how much the Christian cross formation has upset them. They experienced some criticism for others for expressing that view. No doubt there are others who felt that the Facebook forum was not a safe place to air their concerns. I note that the community board considered the historical precedent for the lights in its deliberations at the 1st of June meeting. Historically, the lights were arranged to denote the signal mast configuration. Given that precedent and the deep upset caused to some in the community,
myself included, by the current Christian cross formation, I ask that the lights be rearranged to reflect the signal mast contours. Third, concerning the licence provisions about when the lights may be illuminated, I understand that the current licence does not specify when the lights may be illuminated. As a result, the lights are on every night, all night. I note with appreciation that the licensee turns them off over the matariki period as a gesture of goodwill. The continuous illumination is a form of light pollution and a visual distraction from the natural environment. The lights were historically illuminated at Easter, Christmas, Anzac Day, and for significant national events such as royal coronations. I urge the community board to amend the licence terms to limit the nights when the lights will be illuminated to reflect their celebratory nature. I would note that lighting them over Christian holidays, as has occurred historically, further endorses their inferred function as a symbol of Christianity. Given that our society is more secular now, perhaps the community could be canvassed as to which days of significance it would be appropriate to illuminate them. Ngā thank you.
Kia ora, thank you so much. I appreciate you again taking the time to speak with us this afternoon. Do we have any questions at all? Sarah?
More of a point than a thing is the delegation to make a decision on the lights at start. Although they did that following a workshop with the community. So your community board, because it's at the start, there wasn't the full consultation that there might be with other
Well, there are wide-ranging views in the community that don't seem to be taken into account in the decision making.
Everyone okay on the line? Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, our next public forum is Tony Bengali.
Good afternoon,
Oh, yeah.
everybody.
Deputation, sorry.
Oh, so hang on.
Tony is great to have you with us this evening. Oh, for the little person. Yeah. So again, we are live streaming and recording, and you have 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James and Angela, for making your presentations. And I really understand and appreciate there isn't 100% consensus agreement amongst the residents of Sumner over the lights, over the shape of the lights, over the length of time. I would like to explain that a number of issues have arisen with those. At the time of the installation of the lights, we intended fully to take them right to the edges, the historical design. But a decision was made at the time by the installers because of the high winds that we had, or not high winds, but they were sufficient winds to make the crossbar move. So they took a health and safety decision to not go out to the full length. And I was very disappointed about that personally, and we have engaged a group to extend the lights. We've put in a purchase request from the UK to supply us with the lights. And so our full intention is to extend them, but the problem may be that even when those are extended right to the edges, that they may still encounter some opposition for some people, because this is the 1998 photograph of the lights where they're taken right to the edges. And I'll circulate that, but it still looks like the shape of the cross because it is in that shape, not intentionally. When it was first established, the mast shape was determined by the nautical requirements and the function of assisting the ship's safe passage. I note also that they weren't established initially, the lights, because at first, when they were first set up in 1864, they were canvas walls. But in 1919, it was a decision of the Sumner Borough Council to establish the lights there. It was a civic function and a civic decision, not a Christian church or group decision. And its function has been multifold throughout the years. I'll just circulate these so you can see that these are the lights as they were extended up until the earthquake. And there's photographs up on the shoreline in 1998. So we plan to take care of that. We're waiting the funds because the cost of the instalment was $17,000, and that's been a very big amount to get from private donors. We want to draw your attention to the fact that, in fact, most of our group, I wouldn't think, describe themselves as Christians, but many of them are non-Christians, and the one who's worked most closely with me has said validly that he's an atheist. I'm from Sumner. I was born there. My family go back there to the 1930s, so nearly 100 years involvement in the community, and successive generations have all been involved heavily and extensively in the community at the Summer Lifeboat and the volunteer fire brigade. The lighting serves many functions. Its primary function was civic, as I said. I've got a copy of that entry dating that back to 1919. And also have a photograph here of 1935 when the cross or the mast was lit up in celebration of George VI. Ascendancy to the monarchy. I think, was it, or is it dead? It's escaped me at the moment, but I usually know that. So we think it's a community asset. We think it has historical and cultural and community value, as well as sentimental value. Many people in Christchurch and Sumner can remember growing up as children and coming out to Sumner and seeing those lights and finding that they were really lovely advantages to the community. And I've been told that there are yachting clubs around New Zealand who also light up their masts. I think I've been told there's one in Nelson, so it's not just ours which is lit up. And it too will be in the shape of the cross, because that's what the North masts were in those days. The other issues, historically 365 days a year, we have been given, water here? Thank you. I'm not used to public speaking, so I'm going to.
Oh, no, you're good. We're just grabbing some for you.
Thank you. So the lease agreement says that we have the ability to keep the lights on from dusk until 11 p.m. each calendar day. So it doesn't specify there whether we keep them only on Christian festival dates or 10 days or 100 days. So we think that most of summer really enjoys the lights. When it first came up for discussion on Facebook, we had over 400 likes and loves on showing people support of the lights. What other issues were brought up? In my opinion, it's this issue is around reflecting the interests of the majority of the community. And I understand that we can't please all the people all of the time. Thank you so much. And I really do regret that everyone's not happy with it, and appreciate their discomfort with it. However, I do think that this is an issue that is a community issue and should reflect the beliefs, the feelings, the attachments of the majority of some of the people. In fact, it's iconic throughout the city. I often see people standing in front of the lights getting a photo taken, and they're often people who seem to be non-locals, people from out of town, but I can't substantiate that. You know, whilst we wouldn't like to see this played out in the media, we think it's a really, it's an important community issue, and we would like to see it resolved so that the majority of the community's opinions are appreciated and consulted or reflected. Anything else? Perhaps if I could pass over to some ladies.
Yes,
who've
we've
come with me.
we've only got 2 minutes left, so.
All right.
Yeah, I think we'll be good for questions if that's okay with
Okay,
you.
questions are fine.
Yeah, Sarah?
Thanks for that, Tony. I know you, setting aside the religious nature of or not, and there's various quotes in media about that. But when it comes to you talking about the majority of the community's wishes, those kind of things, and potential consultation, are you open to us having a broader community conversation and broader consultation with the community
Absolutely.
to ascertain those
Absolutely.
views? And then that come back to the board following that for potential renegotiation of the legislation, if that's the way it looked or not.
Yes, I think my group is so supportive of the mast lighting that they're prepared to put in whatever it takes to see the lighting remain. You know, even going door to door, they've suggested going door to door to actually get community support.
So the other thing was there was potential raised for looking at, if you're looking at the historic nature of it, going back to actually the historic days that it was involved. So the current license agreement is much broader than the historic. And so the potential for going back to, I think it was up to about 15 days a year that it was originally. It was
I think
about 10
they-
days over Christmas. So
Yeah, they were determined by the Christian festivals, public holidays, I think.
those plus and that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And special occasions.
Yes.
So would you be open to that?
Well, I think from what I understand, people love it, and they love it 365 days of the year. And I think if we make it for the Christian festivals only, then we run the risk of people being unhappy that, hey, it's a Christian cross and not a mast. So we have those potential problems as well. I think, again, I come back to not everybody's going to be supportive of whatever decision is made finally. Yes, that's our perspective on that one.
Thanks.
Thank you. I've got one question online. Michelle.
Thank you, Tony, for coming and speaking to us. And obviously it's a very kind of important and unfortunately difficult issue. I guess my question is just thinking about other community members, for example, that are Muslim or you know, or atheist or whatever. Do you have any thoughts about how their needs could be accommodated on this issue?
I think, look, there are different cultural things in every nation and every city and every town that represent part of their culture and their historical heritage. Christianity is an important part of our heritage. And I think that's, I'm not ashamed to say that that has been part of our heritage and is responsible for a large part of the society we enjoy today. So I don't think it's possible to be inclusive of every viewpoint, you know, whether it be Muslim or whatever, while I respect their rights to make their own representations of their religious faith. I think this, most importantly, fundamentally comes back to the fact that it was a mast, and it wasn't originally set up by the church. It was a mast, and that's the history that we're trying to continue. It's part of our heritage, part of our history, part of our community, and you know, there's a lot of community support out there for it. Thanks, Michelle, sorry.
Sorry, can I just ask another question too, because it has come up that the trust itself is one of its purposes is to promote the Christian faith. And I just wondered if you had you wanted to respond to some of the comments that have been made in respect of that and in relation to the mast.
In relation to the mast, well, it only relates to the mast in that it's a community project, because the objectives of the community of the foundation was to support different parts of society, marginalised groups, mental health, women's groups. I think the list is there on that document, and it's a bit concerning that only the Christian organisation part is picked out, but the foundation does represent its objectives as being concerned with a lot of community issues. So not just the mass or Christian things.
Thanks, Tony.
Cool, thanks so much, Michelle. All right, Daryl? Yep.
Thank you. One quick question, Tony, with respect to the mast, there has been consultation with the Sumner Community Residents Association.
Yeah, correct.
Thank you.
Well, you mean to what extent? I'm not quite sure.
In terms of going through the process, in terms of consultation, asking their points of view, the community, through Facebook.
Yeah, no, we haven't conducted anything in conjunction with the community, the residents, Sumner Residents Association. I think one of them was going to come today. If anyone, you'll be in Charlie, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but given that if there was a requirement for a discussion about
Yes,
consulting wider with the community,
Yes.
you're happy to work with them?
they're very happy. They've
Thank you.
they've said they would if or we requested them to.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time this evening. We appreciate you being here. And yeah, you can stick around if you would like, but we'll be having a discussion about this in our
Okay, we'll go this later. Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you, Tony. Okay, so our next deputation this evening, again on the Cave Rock Mast Lights, is Joe Baker. Hi, Joe.
Hi, thank you.
No worries. Thanks for being with us this evening. Just a reminder, we're live streaming, we're recording for YouTube, and you have 10 minutes. If you have any questions, then please leave time at the end. That will be great.
Right.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. First time here and really just getting to terms with how it works and what the role of the board is. So
And just the microphone. Yeah, that's how that works. That's perfect.
right, cool. I'll just say that again for the benefit of those online. It's the first time for me at this meeting, so just really coming to terms with how it works and what the role of the board is and all of that. So thank you for allowing me to be here and for speaking to you. Apologies if I don't have a very formal presentation prepared like some of the previous before me, but I'd like to start just by acknowledging two of the speakers for me, and I don't want to repeat anything that's too much so anything that's already been said, but I think that Jamie and Angela spoke extremely well, and I do think have represented very well the viewpoints of many people in the community, including myself. I feel very strongly about this issue. I think that, I guess broadly, I think it's totally inappropriate to have a large Christian symbol sort of forced upon us. That photo that you can see there is from my living room. And this cross is in my living room all the time, and it is horrendous. So I get up in the middle of the night, I've got a 10-month-old baby, and he wakes up a lot, and every time I get up, the cross is beaming into my living room. So when it first came up, I was a little shocked. So obviously growing up in New Zealand, it is I guess I'm proud of New Zealand being a secular, inclusive society. We don't have religion forced upon us. It's an option, and everyone has that option, and that takes place in churches and in private places of worship. However, that's not my choosing. It's not for everyone, and I feel that to have a cross like that in a public place, I feel is totally inappropriate, and I was not consulted. I feel that the people who are most affected by this are the ones who live in houses like mine, so mine's pretty close to the cross. I feel that if you live in, I feel that we are the most affected ones on the lower slopes of Clifton Hill. If you live on flat, you don't see it as much. You see it just when you're driving in. It might interrupt your nighttime beach walk, potentially, but you're not living with it. So we are living with it, like it's there all the time. And it's a reminder of, to me, it reminds that, well, to me, it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it says to me that we're not being inclusive, that we're not appreciating the viewpoints of our multifaceted community. So I think what I'm asking for is a broad consultation process to take place. I think that the most affected residents should be taken, their views should be taken into account more strongly for reasons described. And I think that broadly, even just from what you're saying from 3 totally disconnected residents who have come and are pleading the case to say, please, this is really inappropriate. Can we please get this resolved? I think is enough to show you that there clearly is some discontent within the community. I don't know either Jamie or Angela, and I've heard their cases and thought, wow, that's, yeah, I can really connect with that. And so clearly they're very disgruntled, and so am I, and so are many others. So yeah, I really would like to ask for your support and guidance to how we can actually get a thorough, appropriate community consultation to happen, and then to take appropriate actions on the basis of that consultation.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Are you good, Sarah?
I was gonna produce a resolution.
Oh, okay, cool. But we'll do that.
Things that crop up.
Yeah, in the area report, that would be fantastic. Do we have any extra questions for Joe? Oh, yeah, Michelle?
So thank you for that. I'm just interested to know what you would think if, for example, there was some kind of a compromise where it was they were lit up on Christian festivals. Would you like to comment about that?
Yeah, sure. I've thought about that, and I think.
Yeah, that's on.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sorry, I was speaking to myself. I think.
Thank you.
So thanks for the question. I have thought about that, and I do think that you know, the type of people who are objecting on this are definitely prepared to have a conversation about it. It's very I think that's the problem, that we haven't had an open, honest conversation about our values. This is a really value driven kind of issue, I guess, and absolutely, and I'm prepared to acknowledge the historic nature of it. And I note that it was used for Christian celebratory occasions, and feel that if anything, that is, you know, I mean, the argument is that it should, that it's to represent or to, I guess, continue that history. Therefore, why would you extend it beyond? Like, let's you know, I think that that seems to be potentially an appropriate resolution, and clearly you can see from my earlier comments that I don't think that's the best outcome. And personally, that's not the best outcome, but we live in a community, and I think we should be, you know, compromise is important. So yeah, absolutely prepared to compromise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. If there are no other questions, then thank you for your time. And I hope it wasn't too terrible your first time at the community board.
No, I'll be back.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, it's great to have you with us this evening. And yeah, again, we'll be discussing this in the area report coming up later.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Okay. Oh. Yes. So we'll move this week. I'm moving on to correspondence, and Liz has just said she has some to table.
You need to put your microphone on.
Board members, I have a letter from the Sunland Residents Association, which I have on devices. I wish the board to receive that correspondence, please.
May I move up for that?
Can I just ask a question? Can we have, sorry, somebody got there, yeah. Can we have the letter read out, please?
You need to push the steam down on your microphone because
This letter was voted today and it's from Sumner Community Residents Association. Sumner Community Residents Association have been aware of this issue over the past months. And based on feedback that we have had from the community, there is a positive reaction to the reactivation of Cave Rock and the elimination of the mast. Post-earthquake, residents have welcomed the regeneration of Sumner Village, and this includes the reinstatement of historical landmarks. However, we are also aware that in its current configuration, the elimination has both positive and negative interpretations for the community as a whole. Where for many, it brings joy, for others, it is uncomfortable, and this has resulted in some divisive conversations on the local Facebook page. We would like to suggest a compromise be reached where the configuration of the lights is equal on the vertical and historical axis to give more neutral viewpoint. If a compromise can be reached today, we would like instate the new configuration as soon as possible and support with local comms to inform the community. We can revisit the issue in 12 months with appropriate consultation, giving the Sumner community ability to provide feedback on the acceptability of the new configuration. And that is from the chair, Lisa Sparrow.
Thank you, Liz. Did you have anything to add to that, Darren?
No, thank you for reading it out. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So Sarah, did you move that, Sarah?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. And seconded?
Aye.
For a second, yes.
Either.
Okay, all in favour for receiving correspondence?
Aye.
Thank you, carried. Okay, moving on to the presentation of petitions. There are no petitions, so we are moving on to item 7. That is the Heathcote Expressway. And we have Barry Woodland with us. Barry. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for your patience. Oh, okay. Look, do you, if we can just come back together. Barry, do you have anything that you would like to speak to in the report or add or point out that you think is important? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Cool. Okay. Do we have any questions at all, Barry? Yanni?
Thank you. I was just curious to know what assessment's being done around the impact of the lights on the local ecology and biodiversity.
Probably not the right person to be asking the question, but the actual cycle has been subject to an extensive resource consent process, and I think the representations made during that process were satisfied, and the resource consent has been granted on that basis.
And is there going to be yeah, I mean, okay, so I mean, you're mainly just here to talk about the technical aspect of the easement,
yes,
rather than any sort of environmental impacts.
Yes, I am sorry.
Okay. Yeah, is there any ability for the council to have control of the hours of operation of the lights?
I'm not familiar with what's in the resource consent, but I assume that there's a condition around when those lights can be used, and those conditions would have to be agreed to.
Okay.
There is a reference to the resource consent in the report, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that for you and get back to the office.
Yeah, I've got the consent and it just says that a lighting design plan will be, will be done, but yeah, is there anything in the, again, is there anything regarding the lights that,
So the report is that it's not really about lights, it's about the easements.
yeah, sorry.
So perhaps
Yeah.
it's quite hard answering questions if it's not something that has been worked on.
Right, but just in regards to the Orion's easements, I was just, it's 1.4, the lighting installation provided visibility and safety for cyclists. Therefore, staff are support the granting of the new easement and recommend our board exercise its delegation to proceed. So it is actually about the lights. If it wasn't for the lighting, we wouldn't be considering this, but I appreciate that this is not the appropriate stuff to answer. But the only other thing I wanted to check though is in terms of the construction works, is there any, are we aware of any sort of, again, like assessment that will need to be done in terms of impact on ecology?
I think I'm pretty sure there's some conditions in the resource consent around that as well.
Right,
But
so
that's been looked into quite extensively, I understand, from the project manager.
yeah, so it's just reliant on conditions in the resource consent, not in what we agree in terms of that
And
easement.
I think those basic conditions have been discussed with the iwi and the rest as well. There's quite a lot of consultation around all those things.
Okay, thanks.
As part of that consent process.
Thank you.
Cool, thank you. Any other questions? We'll put online. Okay.
Sorry.
Yanni?
Hi,
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for joining us.
I was just wondering, just in the community views and preferences, 5.18, public access is not affected, although the reserves are effectively materially altered by the existing of the cycleway and lighting poles. These factors have been subject to a public consultation process. So I was just, yeah, I guess I don't think the resource consent was publicly notified, so I don't think people had a chance to have a say on that. And my understanding is the designs have changed. Do you know when the public consultation was?
I don't, sorry, I don't remember this.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Yanni. Okay. If there are no further questions. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jerry, for the report. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you'd like to step away from the table, I appreciate you being with us and thank you for waiting as well. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, I have a mover and a seconder. So our mover is Sarah, our seconder is Tim. Do you have any discussion? Yes, Yanni?
I'll stay on this. I do think we should engage the community, and I just think it's such a significant site, and there's a lot of concern around the ecology and the resource consent. Although there's been consideration, I don't believe that people would have been engaged in that process. So I don't think it was publicly notified, which means that people haven't really had a chance to have their say. But there's no doubt that this cycleway will have a negative impact on the local ecology and biodiversity. And I appreciate the reasons for having the lights and for needing the easement, but I personally feel uncomfortable supporting it today unless we've sought community views on it. So it's just a different view, I guess, in terms of that community views section in the report. Thank you.
Yanni? Sarah?
Good, thank you. Really happy to move this today as councillor for the affected ward. I know that this community has been asking for a safe cycle route into the town for many decades. In fact, especially trying to avoid the tunnel road underpass. And if the lights weren't in place here, then the alternative is for people to bike away from the cycleway down Chapman's Road with the inland port, heavy trucks and potholes and large gravel and debris on the road, and then under tunnel road itself, which is the major safety issue for people where in cycling both directions, you must cycle over the on-ramp or the off-ramp to the motorway, and it's incredibly dangerous. And that's what the community have been asking us to avoid for a long time. When this went out for consultation as a cycleway, it was clear that this area would need lighting, and the community were in favour of this cycleway. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Did we have anybody else? Tim?
Yeah, I agree. The cycleway has been consulted on. There is a great need for the cycleway to go ahead in order to eliminate it. Easements are required.
Cool. Thank you, Tim. All right, we have a mover and a seconder. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Online, Michelle, I can't see Jake, but we're about to. He is nodding. Fabulous. And we've got one abstention. Yanni, did you want the recording?
Thanks.
Cool, thank you. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Okay.
It's not Tony. Oh, what's not Tony? Okay.
Raj. So,
I'll just congratulations with case number 9 on page 5. We've got a procedure on that one.
yeah, okay. So we just don't have anybody here for Gloucester Street. So we will skip that for now, board members. So skipping item 8, move on to item 9, which is Norwood Street, and that's the proposed 120 parking. We have Tony online. Good, Tony. Thank you for joining
Hi.
us. Hi. Just to remind you, Tony, that we're live streaming and recording, and you can go for as long as you want if you want.
Okay, yeah, so this is just a proposal for a short section of P20 parking on Norwich Street. Yeah, it's all covered in the report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Cool, thank you, Tony. Do we have questions?
Happy to move.
Look, Tony, we don't even need you, but we thank you for being with us. We are, yeah, love having staff. So yeah, thank you so much for the report, and we already have a mover, so it's a very exciting time. Jackie, you are a mover, and do we have seconder Sarah? Cool. All in favour?
Aye.
Perfect, that is carried unanimously. Thank you so much, Tony.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Bye.
Now we are moving on to Colombo Street and the proposed parking system parking. And we have Luke Thomas with us, and that is page 51 of your agenda is board members. Hi.
Well, I think it's going to be very similar to the previous one.
Don't say that.
I wouldn't be saying that right now.
This is to reinstate a single car park on Colombo Street outside 112 Colombo Street. It's pretty straightforward in all of the reports. Is there any questions?
Sarah has a question. Oh.
Thank you. This is a really new section of cycle safety enhancement, and a hearings panel went through all of this. I think probably less than a year ago, or about a year ago, and so it's only been recently put in place. The hearings panel would have gone through this and recommended to council that they didn't do this one, and I'm just wondering if you have any background on that, because the hearings panel made quite specific assessments of the parking along there. I don't know, is the business new or?
So the feedback's been received from the business. I did look at the hearings panel report, and I was not part of the project at that time. And they did make a submission, and there was no further mention that I could see in the report relating to the submission.
So the hearings panel read the submissions. They decided not to put the car park in after a really long considered process. So I'm not quite sure what impact it would have. I'm just wondering, we've got the parking assessment here, but because it's a specific safety, cycle safety improvement, thing, do we have advice from the cycle safety people on this particular part? Because they clearly did recommend it as a change to the hearings.
Was this one specifically mentioned in terms of it not being?
Well, no, when a hearings panel's done, you know, staff have read all the submissions and they often suggest changes to the hearings panel. That happens really frequently, and they clearly didn't suggest that this park, given even with the submission, go back in. So it'd be really interesting if we had feedback from the people involved in the cycle safety project.
Well, with regard to this one, we received feedback from Men's Medical, which is the business directly behind this particular location. They said their customers, they do have several parks off street.
Yeah.
They said their customers often appreciate having that curbside park here to get
Every
out.
business does, but yes.
Well, some of their more frail
Yeah, yeah.
customers
Yeah,
appreciate,
up onto
up on the curb. We looked at the sites and we ran it past our safety auditor, I talked to the previous project manager, and we had our own safety engineer look at it and couldn't see any reason why it can be reinstated without any adverse impact.
So the previous project managers had a look at it.
Yeah.
And they were.
Yes.
Of the business first.
Were there any other questions at all for you? No? Cool, thank you so much. You can step back and thank you for your time and thank you for waiting. Really appreciate it. Okay, so that being said, did I have a mover? Sunita, do I have a seconder? Jackie? Is there any discussion? Sarah?
Just that I don't do this very often, very rarely. I'd have liked further information from the project manager and site safety team. I'm uncomfortable that we're making this change, given that it has been through a hearings process very recently. So I'll just
Okay, thanks, Sarah. I usually don't say that, but I've been at that medical centre before. It was the men's medical centre, and it's really hard with parking. And I think if we are kind of looking after our most vulnerable, and they do have issues getting out of their cars, I think that we need to be looking out for them as well. So I will be supporting it today. Cool. Yanni?
Yeah, I mean, I think staff gave a really clear answer that they checked with the cycling team and that they were okay with what was being proposed. So on that basis, I'm really happy to take the staff advice and accept it and support it.
Thanks, Yanni. Then I have got Michelle.
So I guess that I probably would prefer to have a little bit more detail about the staff advice, just because of the points that, because I understand that it is an important issue for men using the practice, but at the same time, just want to ensure that it is a decision that is consistent with cycle safety. So, I mean, is there a possibility that we could, before making a decision, that we could get further advice? I guess that's up to the other board members, but that would be my preference.
Thanks, Michelle. We can potentially look into that, or we'll see if we get invites from the table. Jake?
Just wanting to clarify whether Sarah was moving to leave this on the table, and if so, I was happy to second it.
I'd third it.
I didn't move that, but you could.
Well, look, is it even? Sorry?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
She's not on this report.
You're not on this, you're muted.
I'm muted here.
Oh, you're muted, Sarah.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we don't have you on this report, Sarah.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you know.
We're doing Colombo Street parking at the moment.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries, thank you. Okay, sorry, Jake, were you moving something?
No, I was just checking to see if Sarah wanted to move it. I'm actually not really that fussed either which way. I'm perfectly comfortable to wait for the additional information if if that's the will of the board, but probably don't feel compelled enough to be the mover.
Okay, cool, thank you. Would you?
I've done my
Are you-
debate and I
Yeah.
can't move anything once I've done my debate.
Yeah.
And I didn't move it at the time. I just said I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So can I move it?
But you've done your debate as well, Michelle? Oh, no, but you're still doing your debate really, aren't you? Would you like to?
And also with leave of the chair, that could probably be accepted, right?
Yeah. So if you would like
To move that the report's laid on the table until we get further information around cycle safety.
Well, I'm happy to second. Yeah.
Thank you, Jake.
Waited. Yeah. Can't hurt. It won't delay things by much.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just want to clarify, what do you mean by cycles around cycle safety?
So the impact of the car park on the safety for cyclists.
And so kind of, just and potentially any feedback from the hearing scan.
Okay, well, we are not saying no to it, we are just asking for extra information, so we have a move from Michelle, Jake has seconded, board members, all in favour?
Aye.
Thank you, that is carried, so we will have that come back to us with a bit more information, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, probably see you later. Thank you. Okay. Getting myself off. Okay, so we have Sarah. Are you there now, Sarah?
Yes, I am.
Cool, it's great to have you with us. So we have you with us today for the Gloucester Street near Fitzgerald Avenue proposed extension of the existing bus stop. So we've obviously got your report, board members, it's page 37. Do you have anything that you would like to speak to or add? You think that's important for us to know?
I can give you a quick rundown of what was in the report, but there's no sort of new information that's come to light. So it's pretty much because we've got routes 5 and 7 that are using that bus stop. It's currently used as a timing point, which means if buses are running early, they stay there until they're running back on time. So that's how you can keep the reliability of that network. Currently, we've only got one bus box there, and ECAN have approached council to ask if we can make it to fit 2 buses. So that's sort of currently what's happening at the moment, but obviously, yeah, we need to have a look at that to accommodate the operations of the bus. So we went out and consulted on extending this bus box out in sort of mid-June. We received a couple of responses back and objection just because there's quite a lot of parking demand in that area. And we've got the school quite close by. So there's a lot of people there with a high density dwelling. So we went back and adjusted the design and did some swept path analysis to make sure that those bus boxes aren't across someone's driveway. And that's the design that we've taken to the board today. Yeah. Is there anything else?
No, that sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. Do we have any extra questions from board members? Michelle?
So just double checking in terms of the parking that potentially that people were referring to. Is it actually residents, do you think, or is it some of the workers that park and then walk to work?
Yeah, I believe
no, and
yeah, it's really hard. There's quite a lot of user groups in that area.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not sure.
No,
I'm not sure.
no, and it's not entirely related directly to this, but there could be scope if people are having trouble. Maybe they need to look at some limited parking. But anyways, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Michelle. Sarah.
Thank you. Good question. I've got a couple of comments from people concerned, and it's that whole I don't want the buses there. It's not actually going to change the buses that are there or how long they wait. It's just actually the markings on the road, because the buses are going to be there anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, it's formalizing the behavior that's already happening.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Oh, is that the question, Yanni? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to check whereabouts is the park in relation to the bus stops, and was consideration given to relocating there?
Yes, we did consider relocating there, just to, to save the parking spaces outside the dwellings. But there's a couple of issues that came to mind. There's, it's right across from the Christchurch East School, and there's quite a lot of students that cross and go into that park through an access gate. And so I didn't want to obstruct that access gate either, which meant that I'd have to separate those bus stops out, and it would result in even more parking that we'd lose. If I was to move it outside the park, I might actually have to have removed one of the street trees as well, and look at some new curbing and shift that shelter. So it became quite an expensive exercise with more parking loss, and I wanted to keep that access through that park. I thought that was quite important.
And just the other question I have, just looking at the diagram on page 43, the yellow lines, do you need to have them going back so far? Like, do we put yellow lines over driveways? I thought we didn't put yellow lines over driveways.
Yeah, so in practice, we don't generally put yellow lines over driveways unless there's a lot of parking demand and we feel like people might park over driveway. But we definitely like to resolve that no stopping over those driveways. We might not actually end up putting it in practice though, unless there's a need. But generally we need 12 metres of no stopping so that the bus can pull up close and parallel to the curb, which is important for people getting on and off the bus.
Right, so if we just, yeah. So in terms of looking at the diagram 318, the original proposal would have taken the bus stop over the driveway. And you've reduced that now so it doesn't.
Yes, yes. So there's not as much room for the buses to pull in and out, but we did some swept path analysis and we had conversations with ECAN to make sure that they were happy with that from an operational perspective. And so it is a little bit tight, but it works.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Oh, I was just wondering how many buses actually use this?
So just 2, routes 5 and 7.
Right, but are they pretty are they major routes? Have they got the high frequency?
Yes, they're high frequency routes. Any bus stop number that's just 1 digit is a high frequency, and then the 2-digit numbers are lower frequency.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Yanni. Okay, if there are no more questions for Sarah, no. Cool. Do I have a mover?
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. And a seconder? Sunita? Thank you. All in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Cool, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
No worries, thank you. Okay, we are moving on to item 11, which is the Woolston Village request for an alcohol ban. And we have Liz, who is our presenter today.
Sorry, just apologize. I just need to pop out for a few minutes. I'll pop back shortly. Yes.
Cool, thank you. Page 57, board members.
Board members, you'll recall that Mr. Paul McMahon came to the board in July and asked the board to look at asking council to install an alcohol ban in Woolston Village. I'll take the report as read. And, any questions?
Yeah. Cool. We've got mover, Errol, seconder, Tim. Is there any discussion around it at all? It's pretty straightforward.
Sorry, I have got a question / comment.
Sure thing. Thanks, Michelle. Go for it.
So just the need for a paper when I thought that we had already shown our intention as a board that we did want an investigation, and there was quite a lot of evidence that was brought to that community board meeting, and it does seem like quite a kind of unnecessarily complicated process, because as it is, it's just asking council to investigate, and I thought we had already done that. So that was the point I'd like to make, and perhaps pop into the minutes, please.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I will lower my hand.
We've got, no, I appreciate that, absolutely, Michelle. And what part of the is to just give some clarification around that.
It's really just a matter of process. The process for getting an alcohol ban investigated requires a report. That's all. So if you wanted to make further comment about the process and an investigation to the process, that would be the thing that you'd bring up. Is that something that are you trying to raise a comment about the process needing?
Yep. Sorry, just to be clear, that was the comment that I was surprised when it's come back as a report, when I thought we dealt with it at the meeting that we had already asked, and it just does seem. It just seemed like an extra resource being used not terribly efficiently. I guess that was the point that I was making, if that makes sense.
So you'd like some advice on the process and whether
okay, yes, why not?
Efficient.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that would be super helpful if the board were in agreement with that.
Yeah, totally. Other members in agreement.
No.
So yeah.
Liz? This is, I think what I'm hearing, Michelle, is that you're concerned that we're asking council to investigate.
I thought we'd already done it when at the meeting. I was surprised, and I did raise this actually at the agenda setting meeting too. Was just that I thought we'd already done it, and it just seems a bit inefficient to me, because all we're doing, I thought we as a board had said yes, we would like it investigated, but it turns out no, we have a report to come back, and then we're going to ask the same thing that I thought we'd already done, and it just seems quite convoluted and potentially a bit of a waste of resources. That was my point.
It may feel like that. There are two things at play here. Firstly, must be a report, Michelle, to the council for the council to make a decision. And this is showing that the board fully supports an alcohol ban in Woolston Village.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
The second bit is that under the public places bylaw in relation to alcohol restrictions, there's a whole big part of investigations and stakeholder consultation that we as a board cannot undertake. The council needs to
no, that exactly. We're just asking for the investigation, right? And I thought we'd already done that at the last meeting.
No, there has not been the full public bylaw investigation, so we have to ask council to talk about it.
No, I know, I understand that. That's what I'm saying, but I thought we'd already asked council to do it.
I think we are sorted. We have got, we're going to look at the process and see if we can get some clarification around it and make sure a little bit of investigation into how we can make it more streamlined for the future.
As alongside.
Yeah, alongside of this. Yeah. Okay. Good. We're good. Okay. So I've got my mover, Daryl, I've got my seconder, Tim. All in favour? Aye. Oh, Jake, sorry, did you have something that you wanted to say earlier?
Oh, I did. I just had a comment to make, which was in terms of we're in a vote, aren't we? Probably shouldn't. I just had a comment to make around the ultimately to bring this liquor ban into effect, we would need to have a report, and kind of asking for an investigation was just the best we could do off the back of a petition. So ultimately, I think this is probably a good sign that staff are willing to actually enact this, and that's why they're already asking for a report, which would be required, is my interpretation.
No, that's very nice. Thank you, Jake. Appreciate that. We have finished this issue of this.
Yeah, no, Jan just mentioned he wants to abstain as he walked out. Or he can't.
Oh, he can't. If he's not here.
Oh, I'm just.
He's just not here for the vote.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so that has been carried. Yep. Oh, we did it all in favour.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, no, we did it all in favour. So it's carried. Otherwise. Cool. Okay. We're on for a board report. Yay.
Kia ora tātou. A couple of things. Excuse me. Check my little thingy on. Yeah, sorry. So most of it clearly it just speaks for itself, but I would like to give you an update on the Bromley traffic project. So when this was written, this is old news. So we've had a third community meeting since this was written, and there's a group of approximately 10 interested community members now involved in that group. They met with the project manager and the transport planning manager as well at the same time. So talked through the nature of the project. Feedback from the group was that the $1 million that's on the annual plan budget is greatly appreciated, because it means that they're really keen to get something on the ground really quickly, so that people can see that there's a sign of good faith, that they understand that there's quite a lot more work to be done. There's certainly significant more money required on a budget to make a real difference in terms of the traffic calming, but they really are pleased that there's some money to get those some quick wins going. Further to that, there's also quite a lot of conversation around other potential streams of funding that have recently become available through through government, central government funding, and that because this group is up and running, because the project actually has some initial funding, the chances, that this increases the chances of getting further central government funding for the Bromley project, because there's something already going ready and sorted. One of the conversations that they had was around the need to communicate more widely. The 13 people who gave us their email addresses and 2 Facebook pages don't kind of get to everywhere. So the group has undertaken to look at how they will do that better Because they're the people who are on the ground in the community. So it does mean that it gives the project team much more ability to get some traction within the community. And they're really excited.
Cool. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a very long process. And we likened it when we were talking to, making the snowball to get it ready to push down the hill has taken a very long time, but it's over the edge now and it's rolling and it will gather momentum and speed.
Yeah. I love the fact that they're trying to find better ways to connect with people as well. So maybe we can that too.
Well, ultimately that was the point, but it was about getting us to a place where they had something to connect about.
Yeah.
You can't connect about what might be possible in 6 months' time. It has to become immediate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yanni?
Are we able to get a list circulated for the members are?
You will be getting an invitation. Anyone who's standing for Coastal Burwood, Linwood will be getting an invitation to come and speak to the Bromley community about their commitment to getting this on the area, the community board plan in the next term. So anyone who's standing as a candidate, you will definitely find out who this group are.
Right, sorry, but can we as a board know who's on the group?
Yes,
Yeah, cool,
absolutely.
cool. And is there anything, I mean, given that we did a lot of assessment for the craft and there were some projects that were identified, can we pick any of those up and just get them done? Because I'm just concerned with the money that we've got on budget, it's going to go very quickly in terms of cost escalation and other projects taking money possibly, with the cost pressures that council's facing. So the staff did a lot of work for some of the Bromley traffic stuff through the craft process.
Those projects are in the craft project.
No, they weren't funded. They weren't funded. So the ones from Bromley weren't funded. Yeah.
So the ones that aren't, there is an opportunity for some funding from central government because the work has been done. I just said that. Because the work has been done, this project is already 10 steps ahead of anyone else in the city. There's a community group and there's work done on potential projects.
It's kind of like when we got the shovel ready fund now.
Yeah.
Because we had that was like waste movements all kind of planned and ready to go and stuff.
Oh, okay. And sorry if I missed it.
So this one, because it's.
So when's the plan coming back with the proposed works?
There's some surf, which is a kind of emergency sort of funding. It's safety projects and they're mostly aimed at school stuff, pedestrian and cycle safety.
So when is the list of projects coming back to be agreed?
We're very early in the actual what will happen with the project because we're working with the community to do this together with them. So the list of projects, they'll work with the project group to work out what those are, communicate wider with the community, and put with $1 million. We're not going to fix the whole deal, so we have to start looking at where the other funding is going to come from, which is where they're hoping some of that super funding will be spent.
But the project manager is coming to the next board meeting anyway, so we can ask questions there. So,
yeah, I'm talking about the community consultation part, which is what we're responsible for.
Yeah. Cool, thank you.
Okay. I think you're reading the last sentence incorrectly, Yanni.
the project manager at the next meeting.
I think that's the next meeting of the community.
Any questions related to involvement in the plan? Oh, okay, so they're not coming to the board. Okay, so when can I just check? Like, do we have a sort of time frame for when we'll have a plan and when we'll start work?
No, and it'll come to the next. It'll be in the next term. It's not going to happen before the end of the term. We've got 2 more meetings after this.
Right. Wow. And so is there anything that we can do before then, like given the work that's happened on the craft to identify certain projects that we could just pick up and do, given that we've got...
I can't answer that. I'm not a traffic engineer. I can't answer that.
Some of those projects still need to go through detailed design. They have not
got to that stage yet.
Don't you ask that question, Melanie, I sent an email to the appropriate person.
No, it's not generally, we don't email staff members. No.
The opposite is the.
So when would something, so when would something be able to go out to the local community about the time frame, the next steps, the kind of key milestones?
Well, I think Naomi has just said all that. Like, I feel like we've been he's looking at brick wall. He's just explained to us the process, and I guess if we want extra information, then obviously the CA.
Okay, I'll put it through the office. So
Thank you. Thanks so much, Julie. Okay.
And as far as the rest of the area report is concerned, I didn't have a comment. I just wanted to update you because the information that was in here was on. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a couple of things on the report. Firstly, if I'm correct, and I need to declare a conflict, but 3.2.6, change of purpose request, does that need a decision to change purpose or not?
No, we've just done that internally. The purpose is the overall purpose of the spend has not changed. The actual thing that they're spending it on has changed. They're not going to the event that they were going to, but they're doing a similar thing.
Yes, they were very
Yeah.
So there's the Dawson Street, Dawson Lane, and there's the Samana, the Tuawera mast lights. But also one thing that's not in here, which I've asked for in the last two area reports, is information, basic information on an update for progress on the Bays Area Skate Park.
It's on our list. It's on the list.
And I keep getting asked by the community, and I keep saying, I'm still asking. And I feel bad because I keep saying, I keep asking, and I'm not having a response for the community on that particular issue.
I can't give you an answer on that either, because I'm
just that you're still asking.
So yeah, we're still asking.
Okay.
Could you say that to me?
Yeah. And but yeah, so I've got two resolutions that I have put in, one for Dawson Street and one for Tuawera Cape Rock.
Thank you.
Type up, you'll be able to see those numbers.
So while Jane is typing these up,
Mm-hmm.
move on, because Jane's got them here.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Were there any other questions around the board report?
Potentially there's something around the district plan change. Plan change. Which is in paragraph. Sorry, I've just lost it. 3.3.2. Thank you. And I sent out legal advice to the board. Board members, I sent out legal advice to the board about how the representation of the board and of course Hornby Rickerton during the elections as the mediation is planned for the 3rd to the 4th of October. The board needs to nominate someone to be the board's representative for plan change 4 and to have the delegation to agree to the settlement or any subsequent negotiations until the new community board is installed. And we also think it's a very, staff would like to suggest that representative also reports to the new boards, just one quick report to see what has happened, because there are 3 boards that will be involved in this plan change 4 that the board started.
Yeah. I've got Michelle with her hand up and mentioned.
But not to do with the plan change, sorry. Why don't we deal with that?
Yeah.
I'll lower my hand and I'll pop it up again later.
Oh, okay, Michelle. Tim?
Yeah, I would like to strongly recommend Michelle take up that position. She is seeking re-election within the area affected. I'm from a different area.
Michelle's seeking election from a different area.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's got nothing to do with it. We just need some people that have worked through it up until now. So I would like to nominate and Michelle. Getting almost all over.
Can I just, sorry,
Michelle.
right, so I like I can do it if that's what is agreed, but I also would like to propose Sunita, because she's been quite involved with the Central Ward residents groups as well, which, as we all know, and I acknowledge the good work, Tim, that you've done, despite that you know it's not such an issue for your area. But Sunita, how do you feel about being involved with that?
Yeah, no, look, being in the ward definitely, but I would need the support of Tim or you, because I know that you guys have put a lot of work into it. So
yeah, so it'd be nice having you here.
And the Heathcote ward, the new Heathcote ward actually goes all the way through. Yes. The city, like it goes all the way to Morehouse Ave. So.
Morehouse Ave, lovely.
So are we having, I just want to clarify, so we definitely got Sunita and Michelle, did you want to be part of it just in case somebody's off as well? Like,
I think that Sunita and Tim, that they'll do a superb.
That was a good side. Perfect. Okay, so Sunita and Tim, if you are happy with that, and the board are happy, I don't
You're happy to, the board is happy to delegate the authority for them to agree the settlement or in subsequent negotiations until the new boards are installed.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you understand the undertaking that there needs to be a report back to the 3 boards.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Alex?
Yeah.
Just a question about the date of availability. They have given those dates, right?
Yes.
In October.
3rd and 4th.
Sorry?
3rd and 4th of October.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much. And then I'll be putting your calendar, but maybe if you check them in as well now, just so you.
I will send an appointment out.
Fabulous. Cool, thank you. And thank you, Tim. Thank you, Sunita. Got Michelle with her hand up.
Not about the plan change 4, just in terms of the summer with your neighbours. I just note that the application's open 15th of July, but is that correct? They're only open for 1 month?
Yes, they're closed.
So, and I mean, I'm assuming that's a citywide kind of thing, is it?
Yeah.
I know that the summer with the neighbours is, but is the time frame a citywide thing?
Yes.
Because I guess I'd just note that in the middle of winter and for such a short period of time that it there might be people, perhaps it would be in springtime, more tuning their mind to it. So perhaps for the future, just whether that's the best time to be making that, asking for applications for it.
Do you want to just make a note of it? Yeah. Also, not at this time because it's been brought forward because of the election.
Oh, right.
So it's just quite short as well.
Yeah. October, September, yes.
15th of July till the 15th of August, presumably.
Usually in September, October. Yeah.
Right, so it is usually in a better time frame.
Always for a month though? Only?
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So we've got our resolutions up for the lights and the other thing, Littleton Street, Strange Lane.
In this one. We have got a resolution for the plan change. Oh, good.
So we just need to chuck the names in here. Chuck them and put them on Monday.
I'll just start.
Sorry, it doesn't look like the other one. No hands up. Oh, yeah, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like area report or even exchange. It was just trying to get an updated timeframe for the Phillipstown road crossing.
It's not an area report. It's not an area report.
You can bring that up and then they
Yeah.
can do it while we're going into elections now, just while we're getting all of the resolutions. So, Liz, I was going to call you Linda. Liz.
So what do you want to know about?
Oh, if we could just get an update on what the next, like we've had the site visit to Phillipstown, we've got money on budget, but just getting an understanding or just advice or a memo just on the timeframes for that project progressing on the site visit.
I just, do we have, oh, sorry, maybe I'm getting slipped behind. Should we have anything in the area for the request that made around looking at information around Worcester Street?
No.
No, okay, I'd like to ask for more information from the elected members. Or just for a follow-up, at least in.
Sorry.
Well, we requested, what did we ask for now? I don't remember. What was the wording? For advice around the section between Fitzgerald and Stanmore Road.
But we've got an action on that.
Yeah, there's an
currently.
action
We're
on
just waiting,
Yes.
you know.
I do
Always waiting.
I know, I do put the information.
Oh, I understand do this. I know. We're just bringing it up because it needs to be brought up and, you know, everyone can get some information from the appropriate staff. Anything else for elected members? Jackie?
Just had a request from a constituent about a sheltered bus stop, and I don't know quite where we take that. Apparently, on Gloucester Street between Lionel Street and Avonside Drive, there's a sheltered bus stop southbound, but on the other side of the road there isn't, and residents are saying that it requires one, so where would
You need to, there needs to be a customer service request lodged for that, Jackie.
Okay.
So the person does it, then they get direct contact with staff.
Right. Fine, thank you.
They can, anyway, yeah.
Yes, Chief, Tim?
Oh, on elected members exchange, yes. The penguins are all.
Yay.
No, not today.
Oh, no, not.
Well, it's actually not that.
I don't
On
Okay.
the coastal pathway area,
Oh.
there are now sets of penguins. There's a video online, and you can watch them. Being very friendly in their little burrow. And so for the next 100 days, they'll be working very carefully around those penguins, so it's not to disturb them, but working very strongly on the first section from Trampstop to the rock club. And with the intention of having that open, finished, complete, ready by Christmas.
Awesome.
So it's great amount of work going on, and the penguins had their wristwatches, their timings exactly right. They're expected now. They turned up.
That's so cute.
No,
Thank you.
that's so cute.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Oh, they're so cute.
Then you find story.
Oh, God. So if anybody is watching and they would like to watch England's Be Cute, you can check out our new science story at the Graduate School Council website. Michelle.
It's not really members exchange, but just because I was late, I just wanted to make sure that the amendment to the minutes that I sent through was received and included for the John Miller public forum.
Grace, do you want to?
No, you go.
Michelle, there's already an action open for that thing that we don't, it's more what you're bringing up is like letters advising, which we don't have in local government minutes.
Sorry, so he came to the public forum last week and we put some actions in, but it seemed to be less extensive than what the original action was. So that was my concern. But are you saying, because in the action tracker, it had been, unless it's changed, when I last looked, there wasn't an open action for it?
We had it reopened. It was closed and we had it reopened. And so we are following up on that and we're still awaiting the advice.
Right. But it just in terms of, I felt that the minutes didn't accurate because I requested that those original 3 points were investigated that John raised in February, and it's just that they weren't in the minutes, and that was what I was asking for the amendment to the minutes. But did that not happen?
No, we don't usually put those in the minutes because you're absolutely right that actions haven't been actioned, and we're awaiting to hear back. But those actions that came out on the 16th of February still are being awaited. So they haven't been closed. You were right when you said you'd seen them closed. We had them open again. The actions are still on the books. So we didn't need to write them again because we've already got them.
It wasn't that. It's just that in that meeting, I understand what you're saying, and it's fine. It's not a biggie. But in terms of the minutes recording the meeting, I did ask that those original 3 points were covered off. So that's why, because what was in the minutes didn't really reflect that.
Okay.
The minutes have already been passed, Michelle, but we can, I don't know, how do you want to start?
I
Taking note of it, and this was recorded as well, so people can go back and see.
So can we have it noted then in this members exchange that the 3 original, hold it, I've got it here somewhere.
Yeah, the requests made by the residents.
Yeah, that were in February, which were around the
repairs,
the repairs, the time frame, and the finding out why there's more road noise. I just want to make sure that is noted in the minutes, and maybe the part of this in the members exchange that it's reiterated then, please.
So we can do that, and we've got the wording in the email, Michelle. So we can
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Right, any more for elected members information exchange? Yanni? We'll just finish up this and get you
I was just concerned that we got told that Chelsea Street was resealed on the 4th of May. We've just got a works notice around a wastewater replacement happening, and we've also got craft renewal as well. So I was just kind of trying to understand, I guess.
Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea Street got resealed, the very east of it, the very end of it from Linwood Avenue.
Right.
The craft program is from is that Pamela Street? No. The street that goes behind Eastgate.
Russell Street.
No, it's.
Pamela's the next one.
Yeah,
Next
there's
one,
Pamela
very-
and Russell. Yeah.
From there down, it's got to be resealed and is under the
Right.
TAFE program.
But why would we be doing a water submain replacement after we've just done a reseal?
I don't believe it's in the same section, Yanni,
Right.
that's been done. It was the very end. Because Chelsea
Okay.
Street is a cul-de-sac at the end.
Right.
And that was the bit that was done with the turning phase, the turning point of the street.
Okay. All right, yeah, I mean, it's just that general concern that we've got CREF stuff that we're doing. Obviously you do the road maintenance after you do the waters. I've also been approached about Mason. I understand there's some work happening there, but I don't know if anyone's, have we received any information around works on Mace's Road?
In what way, Yanni? What kind of works are you?
That's what I'm asking about. Someone's just contacted me to say that Isaac's Construction is doing work there.
I will have to look back through.
Yeah.
Start with notices.
Okay, because I know we did get a memo around Mace's Road that we were looking at curb and channel for where all the parking's gone and torn up the verge. So the last Mace's Road information that we got
I can't see anything.
was yeah,
Nothing recent.
we got the memo that we were going to look at chip resurfacing 22-23, so it may just be that's what it is. And then it also said that the conclusion was that with board support, council staff will investigate curb solutions for Road East. So I just wondered if we'd put anything back on that. Or if we can just find out what's happening.
I'm sure of
Okay.
what document you're referring to, Yanni.
It was just a board memo that was sent on the 17th of November 2021 around the Mace's Road surface. But if we could just find out, I think that would be useful.
Okay.
And the only other thing I wanted to ask is, do we know what's happening like with the flooding issues that we raised?
The flooding issues.
Yeah, because I've just had another resident contact me
So
concerned.
I took it to council last week and I asked council for a way forward. I wasn't there when everything was being moved at the end. I don't know if anything was said or if, yeah, so maybe
I just think like it's really important, like when we have these events.
what happens when I go to council? What do you all do? Like when I come and I ask for support and I ask for things to move forward, what does council do? Or is there like a specific process? They obviously take notes, but how do we get updates on that?
We generally get told we can't ask questions, we can't move stuff, and then it just gets shut down. But I mean, regardless, I think it's great that you've raised it at council. I just think as a board, what we should be asking for is a debrief on the flooding, because I'm concerned that the longer we leave it from the situation, the less information and knowledge that people have.
Yeah.
This is an action from the last.
It is an
Yeah.
action.
Yeah, so we
Yes.
have an action. Yeah.
So we would asking support from council to see if there's the faster way that we can get stuff done.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
So we should hopefully be getting some update ASAP. Thank you, Yanni. Sarah? Oh, no. Cool, okay, well, I think we can finish LinkedIn on the change. Thank you, everybody. We're moving back to the area report now, and we have a resolution that I hold that. Okay. Okay, so receive, are we happy? Is everybody happy reading that to move them all together?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, just one question on two.
Yeah.
I just wondered, given what we heard from the deputation, like to me, it just seems like if one more person had said yes, then we wouldn't be in this situation. But I wonder, like, if when it comes back, we should ask just to reopen the engagement. Because it seems that they could just get one more person to say yes, then actually we wouldn't have an issue and we could just get on and change the name. But will that
We
report
would
have the
still
ability
need
to
the
do that?
report to make the decision to change the name.
Yeah,
So
but are
hopefully
we-
it would be.
Oh, okay.
Could I make a suggestion that we request an options report as per that we also request that the community group, the community is involved in the consultation.
Yes.
Yes.
So if there needs to
Because
be
it would
a
seem to me that
response-
they've done
Yeah.
the consultation.
Yeah, well, that's-
So
that's
that
right.
if we were involved in the consultation for them pulling together the option, then
So could you recommend something?
yeah, so request and
Involve the community and whether.
yeah. Where's it from? Okay. This option to put rename Dawson Street and that the local
Future consultation.
yeah, that the local community is involved in the consultation
I guess what I'm
process.
just,
Yeah.
I guess what I'm just trying to understand, like, is if we just say that actually we appreciate the engagement, but we didn't get a very good response, right? So we reopen it.
Yeah.
And we ask that the staff work with the local community group on the engagement or the consultation, and then bring back a report whether that would actually get us progress. But if that resolution can do that, but I think it's, you know, I hope that should be a pretty
Well,
simple.
that's a report to rename. And that the local community is involved in the consultation. So that's basically what you're saying.
Well, I just don't know whether we need a resolution to reopen the consultation or whether staff can just take that as an action.
Under the Local Government Act,
Right.
the council needs to do the consultation, but they can do it in liaison with
Yeah.
the local community group.
Okay.
However,
Do we need to be more specific and say we want you to reconcile?
Well, I think what the thing is, they can consult
asked to
with-
reconcile.
Yeah.
consult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In conjunction with the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also,
The local community is reconciled in conjunction with the community group.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Perfect. Cool.
with the residents.
Yes, the residents
Not
of
the
the street.
community, it's the residents.
Yes, you're right.
Yes.
That's right.
Of the
Absolutely.
street.
Yeah.
Also, board members, you may recall part of that deputation is, and I hope I could talk to staff when they do the consultation to outline just changing the street name does not change streets designation. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding there and how we can change the designation of the road because it actually has to be done under the district plan.
Yeah.
So, just like we're looking at Bromley and changing some of the designations of the roads there that the communities want to change. So, I think we need a bit more in there for us about,
There's two different resolutions. Yeah, there's two different things. There's two different matters. One is the one about changing the name, the other is about changing the designation, and they're completely separate.
Yes, they are.
And we don't want to change them.
And I don't know if you want to change the designation, because that's.
I think their point was the fact that it's called a street at the moment. It creates safety issues because people speed down it and they just think it's a normal street. As soon as you change it to a lane, it gives it a different feeling. And I think that's what came through with the conversation I just had.
And we also have an open action in relation to Dawson Street about using street furniture and that to stop people parking on the ends.
Yeah.
And that we're still waiting for that information to come back from the staff.
Yeah.
It's not just involving the residents of the street, though, it's involving.
Of the street and the whole community.
It's the
street-
neighborhood group or
Yes,
whatever
but
they
the
call
street naming,
themselves.
Yeah, but they're all residents, so it doesn't, you know.
and the street naming policy has been 85% of residents approve it.
But they've got that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to open the consultation again.
not involving the residents of the street doesn't answer that question. It's in the consultation process, involving the residents.
The question is, Is the current information available?
Good enough.
Is the current information available from the community, which was that petition which was signed by, most of them, enough as that engagement? So, because otherwise it takes, hours and hours and hours and hours for them to go and knock on everyone's door. Well, go and contact owners and residents and everything. They've already done that once and taken all the time to do that. And whether
It would be ridiculous if they were not on the same board stage.
We have to get that. We have to get that advice from the engagement experts because they're the ones who know the law. The local government act is quite specific about how that consultation takes place. So if they had to do it again, I don't have any doubt that those people who came and spoke tonight would go and re-knock on doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just a consultation.
I just want to understand the third point, which says a conduct consultation with the community on the deed for the lights on to our head block. So are we seeking advice for whether the light should be on and what time and day?
No. So on the deed for lights on the Tuawera Cape Rock mast.
Okay.
So the deed currently is the thing that says they can be on 365 days a year in the current configuration.
But I take Sunita's point, we might need a bit more.
Sorry, I just want to finish my point. So two things we are looking into. One is the illumination days, and second is the design, right? So how do we, because I don't want now this time, you then come down now twice, that we missed that point.
That's why I've got B in there. So it's workshop options for the consultation document with the community board ahead of the consultation. So that's when we could feed in all of the stuff that we already know about the new board and stuff like that. Already know about where the points of contention.
And B and A around the other way.
I was trying to do that, but I was having to scribble out and write again.
So do you mind if I take it maybe the other way?
So then you have to change it.
And can we have a point of especially the people's house, which is facing to the mast? So
Part of the engagement.
because the way engagement has happened previously has clearly we haven't engaged those people. So
the previous engagement was the only people that actually council. The only people that council engaged was
the groups.
No. So it was the deed applicant that consulted with those groups, although we didn't have feedback on actually what they said to the deed applicant. And then we heard today that actually, while the document said that she'd engaged with the Summer Community Residents Association, actually that hadn't happened. So there's, I think a broader community consultation. I'm happy to change those around.
My point is to this time we get it right.
Absolutely.
And be a bit more conscious of what we are asking for.
Would it be useful then to add on after where the cursor is now, with taking particular, regarding the design of the lights and the number of
the days
they are illuminated.
Of the lighting of the light of mast lights.
And sorry. And the number of days they are illuminated.
In the year to complete the sentence.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. I've got Michelle.
So I agree with the intent, but I guess what I'm interested in is we do have the right, because if we're going to consult with the community on the deed, then presumably if the community wants something different from what's in the deed, we'd be aiming to change it. So we do have the ability to do that. I'm just double checking on that.
Cool.
Here we do. There's a section where either party can renegotiate the deed.
That's good.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
And it was good because Tony said she was really open to that engagement.
Most of it.
Well,
She did.
Yeah. Yeah. Technically said that. Okay, so if we are happy with those resolutions, everybody's had the opportunity to read them. If we can maybe just pop them on the share screen and speak.
Yep, we could.
I can't see it all, sorry. Awesome. Okay, so we've got moving the area report, options for Dawson Street, deed of lights and everything associated with that. And also Tim and Sunita for our plan page 4. Do I have a mover? Yeah. Jackie, seconder. Sunita. All in favour? Fabulous, thank you, Carrie. Thanks, friends online. Okay, I think we are done. Cool. All right, we'll finish with that again.